Got me out of jail soon because I may have to go slice Miss Ruth's tires, so she can't leave. But anyway, no, she's going to be missed. So, anywho, last week we were going to continue our series of the church. We talked about a servant leader part one about relationships and about how you need to have a relationship with the Lord. You need to have a daily walk, a spiritual walk, things of that nature. We're going to continue that in our relationships that we have. Not only we talked about with the Lord last week, this week we're going to talk about the relationships we have with each other. All right, because don't know if you know that, but each one of us have a relationship with each other. All right, and so and those relationships are important. All right, and so we're going to look at that, a servant leader. We know that Jesus was the example in John 13. We'll be back in there a little bit today in John 13, but also in several other areas. And so let's look at a servant leader part 2. All right, John chapter 13. Once you have found your place in John chapter 13, I invite you to stand. John 13, verse 2, it says, And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hand, and that he was come from God and went to God, he riseth from supper and laid aside his garments and took a towel and girded himself. After that he poureth water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Then cometh Simon Peter, and Peter saith unto him, Lord, dost thou wash my feet? Jesus answered and said unto him, What I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter saith unto him, Thou shalt never wash my feet. Jesus answered him, If I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. Simon Peter saith unto him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my feet. Father, as we come to the preaching portion of the service, Father, I ask that you would empty me of sin, and empty me of myself, Lord, and fill me with thine holy gifts, that I may preach thus saith the word of the Lord. Father, be sure to give you honor and glory for everything that is done tonight. For it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen. Thank you. Be seated. We'll ask God to bless the reading of his word. A servant leader, part 2. So, here, number 1, a servant leader, your relationship with your pastor. The relationship between a pastor and a servant leader is key to the health and growth of the church. A servant leader, the relationship that a servant leader or servant leadership there's a key to the growth and the health of the church. They have to have a good, healthy relationship. All right? The reason I say that is because your pastor is not your enemy. Your pastor is not your enemy. Some people, they think that their pastor, all he does is step on their feet, get in their business, preach about their sin, preach about them. No, your pastor is not your enemy. That is not the reason that God has chosen your pastor is to help you. And so he's not your enemy. A pastor has literally chosen to give his life to the church. Just as Christ gave his life for the church, the pastor has chosen to give his life to the church. Paul said this to the church at Corinth, I will very, very gladly spend and be spent for you. Though the more abundantly I love you, the less I be loved. See, the pastor is not your enemy because the pastor will give his life to the church. Paul said, listen, with the church at Corinth, I love you. I will gladly be spent for you. But note, that the more I love you, the less I will be loved. And so the pastor will give his life to the church. Not only does the pastor give his life to the church, but the pastor appoints various tasks. As a servant leader, the goal of a servant leader should be to help lighten the load of the pastor. D.L. Moody said this: I would rather put 10 men to work than do the work of 10 men. I like that, because I like to sleep just like you do. But as a servant leader in the Gulfport Baptist Church, or any church, local church for that matter, is to help lighten the load of a pastor. Because the load that a pastor carries is a heavy load. Because he cares for the church. And so that's why a lot of times I'll talk about brother priests having broad shoulders. Because I'm lighting my load on the brother priests, even though we're the two shortest men in the church. We carry an awful lot, don't we, brother priest? But no, that is, some spiritual leaders or some servant leaders think that it's their job to control everybody, and maybe even try to control the pastor, and that is not the case. A servant leader is to lighten the load. It's just, when you see your boss doing something, an instinct ought to be, I should help him do that. Unless you work for the state, then you'll just, 4 of you be doing this and 1 of you be doing this. All right? Brother Tim knows all about that. He's one of those that, you're doing that wrong. No, I'm just picking on Brother Tim. No, it's to help take the load off the pastor. Listen, if there's something that you can do that can help the church and help take a load off the pastor, you should have initiative to do it. You should take initiative. Initiative is not a bad word. It is in today's society. One may think, even in today's church, initiative, it could be considered a dirty word, but no, initiative is a good thing. See, Brother Nance, when we were in Florida, had a saying, see a need, fulfill a need. That's what he would say. You see a piece of paper on the ground, pick it up, put it in the trash. Don't go tell the pastor, hey, there's a bunch of trash over here that needs to be picked up. Go do it. And my brother Jim, he said that his father-in-law, Brother Weatherly, would say that if somebody complained about the way he mowed the yard, he would say, okay, you can do it from now on. Listen, if you know that there needs to be something done, you need to do it. Listen, Gulfport Baptist Church isn't socialist. We're not a socialist government here. No, we're all members of the Gulfport Baptist Church, and we need to take initiative and care for the Gulfport Baptist Church. So a servant leader helps to take the load off. And so the pastor appoints various tasks. Number 2, your relationship with your church family. If I can say this, a servant leader needs to serve. It's part of the title that they're given. Right? They need to serve the church. Serve them. Galatians 5:13, for brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. You know what kind of church that we would have if everybody tried to out-serve each other? I don't know what kind of problem that would create. I've never seen it be done. I've never seen one church member try to out-serve another one, unless they're trying to get the glory for it. To serve. When we were in college, there was always something. Well, I knocked this many doors. Oh, yeah, you walked that. I did this. No. I'm not talking about competition, but I'm just saying try to outserve each other. But don't make it a contest. Do it as unto the Lord. When you're serving, oh, Lord, I know that person serves a lot. I want to be able to serve that, Lord. Show me what I can do so I can serve as much or more than that person. I want to serve you. Don't make it a prideful thing. That's what brothers and sisters do. How they try to outdo each other. And so we, as a servant leader, needs to serve. Not only does the servant leader need to serve the church, but the servant leader needs to be an example. Be an example. Jesus was an example. John chapter 13, as we read, he is the example. As we look at John 13, look at verse 12. It says, So, after he had washed their feet, and had taken his garments, and was set down again, he said unto them, Know ye what I have done to you? Ye call me Master and Lord, and ye say, Well, for so am I. So I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that ye should do as I have done to you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither he that is sent greater than he that sent him. If ye know these things, happy are ye if you do them. He said, I've given you an example. You need to go and do likewise. You need to serve one another. That's what he told the disciples. The disciples is the first church, right? So he's telling the church, you need to serve one another. You know, when you're serving one another, you don't have time to backbite, to murmur, to complain, to cause disruption. Listen, those that are usually the ones rowing the boat, hey, you have less time to cause trouble in the boat. Listen, if you're not rowing, you need to grab an oar and get busy. All you're doing is causing more work for the other rowers. He says, serve one another. But instead, we allow the flesh to get involved and said, I don't need to be doing that. Listen, I've been a member of this church longer than they have. They should be serving me. No, you are the spiritual one. You are to be the example. You should be serving them. Listen, if I have to go to the sporting goods center at Walmart and buy you an oar, I will. So that you can serve. Listen, I will gladly spend whatever I need to get you to serve God in this church. So we can be unified. You ever seen those old movies where you got you have the taskmaster speaking the cadence and the rowing? They're all going at the same time, doing the same thing. This is what the church should be doing, serving one another, all in sync, unified. So instead of going in a circle where these people are doing this and they're just going, the boat's going in a circle, no, they're going in a straight line. They have a direction. They know how to go in that direction, and they know how to steer the boat. Jesus says, I've given you an example. You need to serve one another. Not only you need to serve, you need to be an example, but a servant leader needs to be able to forgive one another. As a servant, you will be taken for granted, misunderstood, taken advantage of, and slandered. These will happen, and I will tell you, that will happen to you. They will happen to you by the people you would not even think that would happen to you. The people you think you're closest to, yeah, they're close, but the reason they're close is so they can put that knife in your back. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another. Look at this in Colossians 3. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye. Listen, if someone has a quarrel against you, you which being the spiritual one, you need to forgive them. Right? Colossians 6:1, brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. You who are spiritual, you're supposed to restore such a one. If someone has a quarrel against you, you being the spiritual, you need to restore that person. You need to squash that quarrel. Because the longer it festers, the more people they're going to gain to their side before you know you're going to be ostracized. Even though they've got a quarrel against you, listen, you ever kids, you ever have your parents say, hey, you need to be the bigger one. You need to do the right thing no matter what. You ever had your parents say that to you? We adults, we have the same trouble with the same thing. We have the same problems. Joe's like, he doesn't listen. He goes, I'm better than Sarah no matter what. No. Forgive one another. If somebody has a quarrel, Paul, that's what he said. Paul says if anyone has a quarrel, hey, you need to forgive them and restore them. Because guess who you had a quarrel with? Hey, guess who you sent to the cross? He went to the cross. You and I sent him there. Right? And he loved us enough that he went anyway. Crossroads Baptist Church is a family. Families have problems. Just because Joe and Sarah may have a problem, does that stop them from being family? They're still family. Doesn't matter if Joe has a yellow belt in karate or not. They're still family. Right? They're still going to love each other. I mean, not right now as kids, but when they be adults, they will love each other. Listen, there will be quarrels. Because when that flesh, man, I hate that flesh. Because it causes me so much problem. Can't allow that flesh to fester. And the Lord said, you need to forgive one another. Number 3. You need to pray for one another. You know what prayers do? Praying for one another, you know what it does to believers? It knits their heart together. Prayer knits the believer's heart together. Let's look at Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 18. Ephesians 6:18 says, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel. A servant leader prays for one another. A church family prays for one another. Not only pray for one another, you need to be a team. We need to be a team. Listen, as I said earlier, those that are rowing, they don't have time to outshine and be better than anybody else. Vince Lombardi says this: the only true satisfaction a player receives is the satisfaction that comes from being part of a successful team regardless of his personal accomplishments. Hey, the only star for the Garth Baptist Church is Jesus Christ. He's the MVP. He's the most outstanding player on this team. Not the pastor. Too many pastors out there think that they are the MVP, the CEO of the church, and they are the only thing that matters. No. We need to be a team. All going towards the goal. Our goal is Baytown. Teamwork makes serving together enjoyable. Do you know teamwork? When you're working well with others, it makes the work that you're doing enjoyable. You ever had an employee that you had to work with that you didn't get along with and you loathed going to work? Listen, I had when I started working at Walmart, and I was Cap 1, and then they moved me up to department manager at Frozen. I loathed my assistant manager. I hated going to work because of the way I was treated, the way I was talked to. But then I went over into the dairy, and I still had that certain assistant manager. Then all of a sudden, I got a new one. I liked her. She left me alone. And it was listen. I didn't have trouble going to work. I didn't mind getting up and going to work because teamwork makes it enjoyable. When you're working together, it makes teamwork enjoyable. Wherefore, comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as also ye do. 1 Thessalonians 5:11. We need to edify one another and comfort ourselves together. Because the Garth Road Baptist Church isn't all about you. The ministry of the Garth Road Baptist Church doesn't revolve around one person. I've been in ministries where everything revolved around one person. I couldn't stand it. I didn't want to be a part of that ministry. Not only do we, as our relationship with one another, pray for one another, be a team, we need to communicate with one another. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 20. For which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak, but that ye also may know my affairs, and how I do. Tychicus, a beloved brother and faithful minister in the Lord, shall make known to you all things. Listen, if you're in need of something, you're in need of help, don't allow pride to fester up. When you need help, you need help. Listen, if you can't do something, you need to let folks know. Well, I like Miss Cassie. She always texts me about Brother Sexton. Lets me know what's going on with Brother Sexton. Listen, communication isn't the number one priority in a relationship. It's our relationship between us and God. That's the second most important thing is communication. Listen, don't get mad when people aren't helping you because you haven't communicated. I don't know how many times I've heard people get mad at the pastor or at someone because so-and-so didn't get help. I'm like, well, did they say anything? Did they tell anybody? Well, no. Well, how are you supposed to know? Brother Jason, I can't help the look. I can't help it. You're stuck with that. Your girlfriend's like, you need to leave me alone. This is Lauren. This is pre-you. This is back in Lighthouse Baptist Calvary when he was a freshman. No. Listen, if a brother or sister needs help, we need to communicate. We need to communicate with one another. Also, we're good at communicating. Oh, so-and-so needs prayer. So-and-so needs, this is what's going on. Okay. We're good at lifting up prayer requests. But let me ask you, how's your communication between you and God? Listen, we need to communicate with one another, but let's be sure we're communicating with God first. Because He may supply that need. You may not even need to tell anybody about it. There's times I went to God about things that I needed that I didn't need to tell anybody because He provided. If He doesn't own cattle on 1,000 hills. And He will supply all my needs. Now, He may not supply my wants, but He'll supply my needs. The relationships between a servant leadership and others. Every relationship is important. But the number one relationship is between a servant and his master. That's not me, that's the Lord Jesus Christ. Listen, the church is an important organism. It's Christ loved it so much that He gave Himself for it. And it ought to be that important to us. There's no greater love than a brother to lay down his life for a friend. Right? When a man lay down his life for it. That ought to be the type of love we have for one another. Servant leader. Listen, there's a lot that is expected of a servant leader. But not only the servant leader, but us. There's a lot expected amongst the believers, each other. Now, I know I've talked about men, and we've gone over certain things that men have and their responsibility in the church. Ladies, next week it's your turn. You're not going to get away with scot-free. We're going to be talking about a servant leader's wife. And we are not hip on the new, if everything, of servant leader's partner. No, a servant leader's wife. Because, ladies, your husband will need you. You're thinking about the girls who are about the church. They know I couldn't do it without my wife. I don't know if she lets them know it or not. But I'm constantly being told by Miss Charlene, you couldn't do this without your wife. I'm glad Miss Charlene lets me know. But no, there's things that my wife does that I cannot do. That is why she is my helpmeet. But ladies, your husband, if he is any kind of a servant leader in the church, he will need you. We all should be servants anyway in the church. But if your husband is given some kind of leadership role in the church, he will need you. And this just in, you're going to have to play a role in that also. There's certain standards you have to abide by. That's the Word of God gives out. It's not just the men that are held up to a high expectation. The wives are also. We need servant leaders in the Gospel Baptist Church. More than just the pastors. We need men and women who are willing to serve at any capacity. Doesn't matter if it's cleaning toilets or if it's preaching a message. We need servant leaders. Father, as we conclude tonight, Father, I have tried to do my best, Lord, to present the church, Lord, what a servant leader is. Father, you gave us the greatest example of your Son. And you told the church to be an example one to another and to serve one another. Father, I pray that we as the Garfield Baptist Church would not take it lightly, the service that we have, the ministry that we have here to the city of Baytown and to one another. Father, I ask that you would raise up servant leaders in the church, where someone may not even be considering to be in any kind of leadership role, Lord. I pray, Lord, that you will raise up servant leaders, Lord, that will be eager to serve you and to serve the church, Lord, that we may be unified and heading into one direction. Lord, I ask that you would guide and direct this invitation. Lord, if there's someone here, Lord, that does not know 100% sure that if there was a God today, heaven would be their home. Father, I pray during the invitation, Lord, that they would come forward and you would open your word and show them how you say that they can have eternal life. Father, we ask that your will and your way would be done in the invitation. For it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen. Let's stand as Miss Ruth begins.